Buy the latest song by Timcast, Coming Home. Go to getcominghome.com, buy the song on iTunes, and with your support, we will smash those Billboard charts. Here we go from the post-millennial. Independents favor J.D. Vance over Tim Walz after VP debate, says CNN of all outlets. 54% of independents said after the debate that Vance did a better job, compared to 46% who said the same of Walz. The CNN poll conducted by SSRS found these numbers when asked about before the debate. 60% of independents said they thought Kamala's running mate would do a better job in the debate compared to 60% who said the same of Vance. Those numbers are wrong, by the way, post-millennial. You mean 40%. Overall, 51% of registered voters said that Vance did a better job in the debate compared to 49% said Walz did a better job. Before the debate, 54 said Walz would do better and 45 said the same of Trump. This was, we heard this before the debate yesterday, that the polls were favoring Tim Walz. Everyone thought he was going to do better. And as you know, he got cooked. That's what we're saying. We're saying he got cooked. And he did. I got a post for you guys, and I'm going to show you. Oh. This is an actual picture from the debate that was used by Politico. I'm not kidding. This is a real picture that Politico is using. I'm just going to say this, okay? For those that are listening, it's a picture of Tim Walz, but he looks like some kind of demon.
He reminds me of the snake in the Jungle Book that opens its eyes and hypnotizes you. You know, if he gets his eyes open wide enough, then the voters will be mystified and believe everything he says.
Yeah, I'm part Asian, so I'm kind of jealous.
Oh, Jesus.
Am I allowed to say that? I mean, I am. It's how I feel. You can't get mad at me, YouTube. I don't know. What did you guys think? Did you expect this?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think it was clear within 2 minutes that Vance had it. I mean, the first response from Walz and the second one from Vance, and it was clear it was going to be Vance all night.
Yeah. But like before it went in, were you like, J.D. Vance, who is this guy? I mean, I called him Vanilla Pudding.
Yeah, I mean, I recall, 2 years ago when he ran for Senate for the first time, he was very articulate during that debate too, so it wasn't too much of a surprise to see that he did well last night. Yeah.
Yeah, I think people are underplaying how important this is, especially how thin the margins are between Trump and Kamala. I think JD did a really good job in positioning Trump as more of a moderate, and it was a very civil discussion. They agreed on a lot of points, and I think that was very important to counter what I consider the failure of Trump in the last debate. So I think it had more of an impact than a lot of people are making it out to be.
I agree. But the question is, I see this meme. It's actually pretty good. It's a Venn diagram, and it says people who care enough about politics to watch a VP debate, and then all the other side it says undecided voters.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So how much of the needle's getting moved?
I think the important thing for undecided voters is that most headlines are struggling to make J.D. Vance the same kind of villain that they often portray Trump as. I mean, you could tell that Walz was flustered because he expected a really aggressive kind of name throwing, like a Trump light, so to speak, on that stage. And he didn't get that. J.D. Vance is very much his own politician. He's very smooth. And I think he is effective in explaining his arguments. I mean, whether that's just because he always has been good at this or because he put the time in during debate prep, he was really able to articulate policies, positions in a way that neither Harris nor Walz could. And it left Walz really floored. I mean, Walz was not expecting him to keep going, oh, well, I think the governor and I agree on this. He made him his friend, and Tim Walz was prepared to be enemies.
I wasn't sure what to expect from J.D. Vance beforehand. I seen him a couple, interviews and on doing speeches and whatnot, but I didn't know how he was going to hold up in a debate. And I was very excited and pleasantly pleased that he actually held his own. He kept looking at the camera when Walz was making dumb comments. He's
like broke the fourth wall.
Yeah.
I gotta say, first, I am very optimistic about 2028. If Trump and Vance end up winning, Vance looks to be a stable guy who can be that stable guy for the American public that they're looking for in a Trump presidency. If they win, I feel like they can pull us out of this tailspin. And then 2028, with J.D. Vance as the head of the Republican Party and taking over this MAGA thing, he proved last night just how incredible he can be on that debate stage and how inspirational he can be. I'm deeply inspired and impressed by this guy. I had not seen this before. In my lifetime, I feel like that's the best debate performance I've ever seen.
Now, I think he balances out Trump as well. I think he's going to play a key role in this debate and moving forward throughout till 2028. So I think he was very presidential. I wasn't too surprised. He's always been more well-spoken than Tim Walz. He comes from an Ivy League school. Tim Walz doesn't have that same background. So I wasn't too surprised. I think Tim Walz he's a football coach, as far as I know, from a rural
He was an
area.
associate coach.
Associate coach.
Something
Oh, he's only associated?
Assistant coach or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wasn't too surprised JD Vance did so well. And again, I do think it will balance out Trump's energy or spiciness.
Now, as I say this, I was deeply impressed by Vance. I was actually kind of shocked at how bad Walz was. I knew he was a nervous wreck. The news reports said he was having panic attacks. But ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have to help me out with this one. Guys, I genuinely mean this. Please help me. Tim Walz says, I've become friends with school shooters in weird debate moment. Here you go.
I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was an NRA guy for a long time. They used to teach gun safety.
Well, let me play that again for you guys.
So I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was an NRA guy for a long time.
Okay, one more time, because I know you at home are like, this has got to be AI. There's no way he said this.
So I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was an NRA guy for a long time. They used.
Okay, I don't understand. I'm confused. I'm lost.
And he hasn't clarified, right?
No, and this is disqualifying. Done. Out.
Really?
This is disqualifying. Look, let's try and be as nice as we can. What did he mean by this? And I'm sitting here thinking, like, could he have meant, I have become friends with the families of the victims of school shooters? But look, misspeaking is not ripping out a huge portion of the sentence. If he said, I've become friends with school snoozers, I'd be like, oh, he misspoke. He meant something else. But he said he's friends with school shooters. You don't accidentally misspeak missing several words. And look at this from the Daily Mail. Look at this.
Governor, you said you've become friends with school shooters during the debate. Can you clarify what you meant on that?
Can you clarify what you meant when you said you'd be friends with school shooters?
Ignoring it.
No!
Bizarre.
Why did you say you were in Hong Kong when
What? The moderators didn't ask him follow-ups. He just said it, and they were like, okay.
It seems like an easy layup. You just clarify. I meant the families of school shooters or something, and then you're done. And then nobody
families of school shooters?
I think he did clarify. It just came out now. Yeah, not long ago. He says, I was talking about meeting people that came on the Hill. I was talking about meeting people where there are school shooters, and I need to be more specific on that. But I am passionate about this. This one for my wife and I is just a teacher's parents. It's so personal. So that's came from the Hill.
I mean, this just seems like a typical Walz dodge, right? Like 24 hours later, he's finally like, I'm going to say I meant people who were impacted by school shootings.
Well,
he could have in the moment said whatever he actually meant.
Here it is. We did get it pulled up. Thank you for that clarification, Mario. He says, I was talking about meeting people where there are school shooters, and I need to be more specific on that. What? But I am passionate about this. This one for my wife and I is just, as teachers, as parents, is so personal. He didn't clarify anything. I was talking about meeting people where there are school shooters.
So he goes out in town and goes to school
Underneath it
shooters
says,
to meet
Walz
people?
noted that he met members of
Let's go hang
Congress with
out.
parents, as a member of Congress, met with the parents of children killed at the Sandy Hook Elementary shooting.
And I get that, because I'm like, there's no way he literally meant that. Maybe he said maybe he meant like he went to a jail and like met one of these kids and was trying to understand why they were so distraught or whatever the
Saying
issue was.
he's friends with David Hogg, who survived a school shooting.
He's calling David Hogg a school shooter.
That's the thing. Like, he didn't say those who have survived or the victims of school shootings. He said a school shooter.
What do you mean more specific? You said you've become friends with school shooters. More specific. You made a declarative statement. Like, which school shooters? More specific would be which shooters. So if he said I misspoke and I meant something else, the dude misspeaks quite a bit.
Well, he already used misspoke. He said he misspoke when he claimed to have been at Tiananmen Square. And so he can't just use misspoke again. He likes to space them out. Sometimes he says the media gets him wrong, and other times he says, what was it last night? Like, I'm not very articulate. That's one of his favorites. My wife says I have bad grammar. Remember that was his explanation for like claiming he went through IVF?
I eat white guy tacos.
What a joke.
Wow. Look, I get it. We all assumed that maybe he was trying to say friends with the victims of. But this guy, I will tell you right now, I still feel like it's disqualifying, and more in an opinion and bias sense than like an actual legal. Like, come on, of course not. But I'm saying, bro, if you want to be the vice president and you accidentally say you're friends with school shooters, this falls into the same camp as when Joe Biden called Syria Libya. And he was at, well, I can't remember where he was at, a G7 meeting, and he's saying something about our operation, our military in Libya and things like this. And it's like, if you're in the Situation Room and you tell everybody we need military action in Libya and they say, you sure? And he's like, yes, okay. And you meant the wrong country, that matters. And if you're vice president and you say something like this, I can't imagine what's going to happen when he says this to, I'm imagining someone in the administration and he says, let's go help out these school shooters or something. And then they're like, can you clarify that for me? Did you mean? He's like, no. And they're like, okay. No, I meant the families. If he's going to misspeak to this degree, refuse to clarify it, and then give some really weak response, I'm just like, dude, you're not ready for this job.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit confused why he didn't clarify it the first time around. When they asked him, did he just ignore them? Did he ignore the reporters the first time they asked him?
He got asked twice and he ignores them.
Yeah.
He could have just been like, excuse me? I'm sorry. I must have not made a mistake. I meant to say. And that would have been it. It would have been over. And everyone would be like, we get it. Right. But the ignoring it made a whole day news cycle of him saying these things. The long story short of this dude got cooked by JD Vance. Cooked.
And he wasn't prepared to offer a counter defense that wasn't just based on personal attacks. I think you saw that throughout the debate. He would give these statements like Donald Trump did this and you should be scared of the things they're going to do, very negative. And then you would get these very calm, sort of respectful answers that didn't agree or sometimes did point out where they had common ground from JD Vance, who just seemed to be in his element. I mean, Walz really wanted it to be about name calling and he never got that chance. And therefore, he did not know how to counter what was going on. He even got hostile with the moderators at one point, and JD Vance never did, even though he's theoretically the one who's like anti-woman or whatever.
Just going back to the comment as well, Elon did make an interesting point. He said, I think he was surprised that he didn't get fact-checked. So Musk said, mind-blowing that Tim Walz said he was friends with school shooters. Fine, he's clarified that. But he said he didn't even get fact-checked.
That's good.
Which kind of goes back to the point that JD Vance was fact-checked, and he responded pretty well to it.
Well, but I'll say this. In terms of political strategy, JD Vance masterclass. And I'll tell you this. JD Vance ignoring that Tim Walz said this was the smartest move he could make. When your opponent says something that is overtly incorrect on the debate stage, if you challenge them, you give them an out. They immediately respond with, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. What I meant to say was this. He says it. JD Vance says, I ain't going to say nothing. Why? The news media is going to stew on this for 24 hours. But if he responds with, Governor Walz, you just say you were friends with school shooters. I don't believe you meant that. Walz would have said, I'm sorry, the families of the victims. And then there would have been no story at all. So letting your opponent make mistakes is huge. I wonder then about the moderators who called him out for lying about Hong Kong. He patters for 2 minutes. Then they call it. They say, no, what happened? He's like, I'm a knucklehead and I misspoke. So they actually pushed back on this. If they fact-checked him when he said this, they would have been helping him. They didn't do it.
Right.
Respect for that. Well, I think JD Vance could have also put him on the spot, said, Mr. Walz, you want to be vice president. And like you said, in the Situation Room, you cannot misspeak like this. You said this. Good point. You probably don't remember. So yeah, two options. I think, I'm not sure which one's better, but not commenting on it lets the media eat it up. And they did. It's all over the media right now.
And I think a lot of these debates are based on vibes. So I think everybody was expecting an aggressive Vance, like you were saying. But the fact that he was very polished, cleansed. I think he has a PR background, if I remember correctly, in the military, so maybe that plays into it. But yeah, so he knew just how to be very polished and polite and to be very, like I think they agreed half a dozen times with various policies that we weren't expecting that. But if he had cracked down on Walz for something that was clearly just misspeaking, then that the voters wouldn't have liked that. He's mean and he hates shoutless cat ladies because he's correcting moderators, stuff like that. So I think it was smart for him to back off a little bit and just let everybody else, dig their own graves.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.